Welcome everyone to another Genshin Impact video. Today is Eula Day, and we'll be going over all kinds of things regarding the new character in the game, Eula. MiHoYo released some brand new information regarding Eula and Zhongli in the 1.5 live stream a few days ago, and we have some stats already on Eula on some websites, so we're gonna go take a look at her and just check out the character overall and see what we can learn about her. So first of all, we got the video, which comes straight from the game. She looks very fluid. She looks amazing in combat. She looks very quick in combat too. So you're going to be able to use her E skill, which charges up her attacks. It gives her Grim Heart stacks, which give her defense and give her resistance to interruption. So it says, the Spindrift Knight, a scion of the old aristocracy, the captain of the Knights of Favonius Reconnaissance Company, the reason for which a descendant of the ancient nobles might join the Knights remains a great mystery in Mondstadt to this day.
Playable character, Eula, captain of the Knights of Favonius Reconnaissance Company.
So she looks very nice. The character model looks great. Her attacks look very fluid. They're very quick. First thing I noticed about her when I was checking out her stats was she's actually the strongest Claymore user in the game. She's already power creeped beyond Diluc and basically everybody else in the game when it comes to basically all of her stats, more or less. Take a look at them real quick. So first of all, let's go over her attack talents. So what she has is Ice Tide Vortex. If you press this, flashes swiftly, dealing cryo damage. When it hits an opponent, Eula gains a stack of Grimheart that stacks up to 2 times. These stacks can only be gained once every 0.3 seconds. So the Grimheart stacks increases Eula's resistance to interruption and defense. Down here we can see there's some bonuses to this. So hold, wielding her sword, Eula consumes all stacks of Grimheart and lashes forward, dealing AoE cryo damage to opponents in front of her. If Grimheart stacks are consumed, surrounding opponents will have their physical resistance and cryo resistance decreased. So each consumed stack of Grimheart will be converted into a Ice Whirl brand that deals cryo damage to nearby opponents. So you've got the attack itself, and then you've got these Ice Whirl brands that can go do cryo damage to nearby opponents. So it's kind of an AoE-ish, type ability. The Grimheart sounds amazing. Having more defense makes her extra tanky. Being resistant to interruption is super important, especially in some of the harder encounters in the game. So let's check out the base stats on her at first. So we'll notice that her base attack right here is 342. I want to pull up some other characters real quick. Some of the other Claymore characters. We're going to see that Beto, for example, has 225 base attack. Compare that again to Eula's 342. Now, the strongest character in the game currently was Diluc with 335 out the Claymore users. So base attack is 335 here. We're already over that, so they already power creeped him. 342. Razor down here with 234, and he hits like a truck already. Noelle hits like a truck as well, and she has 191. But obviously that's because of her defensive boost. Xinyan hits for 249. Chongyun hits for 223 at level 90. So Eula's already got the highest base attack in the game for the Claymore users. Let's check out the defense. 751. 648 here. 648. 784 for Diluc. A little bit higher. 799 for Noelle. Even higher. Razor's at 751. Same as Eula. And Xinyan's at 799. Another defensive character in the game. Same as Noelle. So as we can see, her main stat that gets boosted over time is crit damage. All the way up to 88.4% at level 80 and 90. Other characters in the game boost stuff like attack percentage. You got Diluc over here with crit rating. Preferably Beto with electro damage. I prefer something like crit damage here as the boost, or something like cryo damage would be amazing as well. Physical damage could be great too, but this is a great boost for her right here. So she has some amazing stats on her right from the start. So the first thing we notice. Now her attacks, I want you to see that her attacks here, especially at the highest level, but we'll go like to level 6. And then we'll look beyond level 6 as well. We'll start with the highest level though. 260.75% on the one hit damage. Compare that to Diluc, who has 260.65%. Tiny, 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 tiny marginal difference. Alright, let's go to level 6. 130.43%. And Diluc again, 130.38%. So it's very close there. And if we go across the board, we got 89.7. It's going to be the same way across the entire thing. 89.73. Tiny, tiny, tiny upgrades here. So when we get to 2-hit damage, same thing. But it gets to be a little bit bigger gap. 87.63% for 2-hit damage on level 1 for Diluc. 93.55% for Eula. Now her third hit is a double hit, 56.8% twice. Diluc gets 98.81%. So obviously 56 is going to be much higher, over 100. It's going to be 113.6% there. And this is going to be even more as we go on beyond up to the level 15 mark. So let's go to the 5-hit damage. And I think Diluc only has 4 hits here. So we're going to have to compare his 4-hit with her 4-hit. 112.64% compared to 133.99%. So the 4-hit damage for Diluc is a little bit beefier because it's his final hit. But let's go to Eula's final hit, which happens to be 71.83%, which is up there at 140.2. Actually more 0.4, 0.3 something. So a little bit higher. And then if we go up to the highest level 15, we have 208.74%. Let's just round that up to, round it down to 416%. Go back to Diluc. That's 362. So you're missing about almost roughly 50 something percent damage there on the final attack. So a bit, I would say it's, a bit power creepy, but I don't mind it. He looks like an amazing character. Like you want multiple DPS in the game, multiple 5-star DPS too. So having another cryo character in the game is not bad. Not a bad thing at all. So then her ultimate ability is Glacial Illumination. Brandishes her great sword, dealing cryo damage to nearby opponents and creating a lightfall sword that follows her around for a duration of up to 7 seconds. While present, the lightfall sword increases Eula's resistance to interruption. When Eula's own normal attack, elemental skill, and elemental burst damage, or deal damage to opponents, they will charge the lightfall sword, which can gain an energy stack once every 0.1 second. So once its duration ends, the lightfall sword will descend and explode violently, dealing physical damage to nearby opponents. This damage scales in the number of energy stacks the lightfall sword has accumulated. If Eula leaves the field, the lightfall sword will explode immediately. So there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. Basically, we have the skill damage, but it's the lightfall sword base damage that really stands out. And it happens to be on par or close with some of the highest damaging ultimates in the game, such as Tartaglia's Burst, Mona's Burst, characters like that. So it actually gains a damage increase per stack, and the maximum stacks go up to 30, which is exponentially insane when it comes to damage potential. So damage per stack starts off at 75%. Times 30, that's a lot, right? It's a lot of damage there. So getting all 30 stacks doesn't seem like an easy thing to do, and we'll see as we read along more with the passive talents and stuff and the Constellations that it becomes increasingly easier to get stacks as you build her up. So it's not going to be that much of a worry. 30 stacks here, you get 75 right off the top, 2,250. So that's quite a bit. A lot. All right, so if we go up to level 15 though, which is, you know, a lot of people are never going to get up to level 15. That's kind of crazy. 218% though per stack times 30, and that's somewhere up in the 6,500 range when it comes to damage, additional damage. We're talking about 1,066 off the top. Then on top of that, 6,500 additional damage on top of that. So let's compare that to someone like Tartaglia. Got Tartaglia here who goes into his melee stance, and even at level 15, you got 1,102, which is insane. That's a crazy amount of damage. Same thing with someone like Mona, for example. You got 1,050% damage here. And at, let's go to level 9, for example. You got 752. Go back to Tartaglia, level 9. You got 788. Go back to Eula. Level 9, you have 674, but with the potential to get 30 stacks of an additional 137% damage, which is just insane. So like her damage potential is through the roof, and it's not even close. There's so many people that are just not even able to touch what she's able to do at her max potential. It's not even close. Now, when I first examined her, I wasn't like that enthusiastic about getting more cryo characters because I already had a lot leveled up, and I'm like, man, I've been doing these cryo bosses for so long. But I was kind of happy that now she has a brand new cryo boss to do. And on top of that, I have to admit that cryo are probably my favorite characters in the game to use when it comes to just building a team comp. I love cryo characters. They, you know, create melts. They have the frozen effect, which gets shattered. It's all kinds of stuff you can do with cryo characters. They were some of my favorite characters right from the start because it's a gacha game, obviously. And when it comes to gacha games, you just get what you get. And I got Changyun with major constellation levels right from the start. I paired him with Kaya. I had Ganyu, I had Diona. So those are like 4 characters right off the bat that I had that were just leveled up right from the start. And I used them a lot to carry me from 1 to 45 through the beginning of the game. And now that I'm at the high end, it only makes sense that I have another cryo character, which is a Claymore user, no less, which is some of my favorite. Claymore users were some of my favorite characters in the whole game to use. I would say Catalyst are some of my least. So Claymore, cryo, definitely up my alley. Right up my alley, in fact. So I'm really excited about this one. Super excited. One thing, though, that's new is we have a brand new weekly boss, so we're going to have to collect all these brand new materials to level her up. But she looks insane. Just absolutely insane when it comes to her potential in the future. So she's going to require these brand new crystalline blooms. She takes dandelion seeds and the masks from the Hilichurls. Let's go over her passive talents, her constellation levels, and see just exactly how they amplify what she's already doing. So, aristocratic introspection, passive talent. When you look crafts, character, and talent materials, there's a 10% chance to receive double the product. So there's a lot of people that are very excited about that one, and rightfully so, because that is an amazing potential boost to your crafting and character needs when it comes to, you know, playing this game. Because I would say that every single thing in this game, when it comes to material, especially when it comes to ascension materials, crafting materials, things of this nature, are very much just in a drought. Like, you're constantly out of everything. So the ability to get double the product, which is something Albedo has already for something else different, is amazing. Like, this is exactly what you want. Especially when it comes to talent level up materials. They're one of the things that make your character more powerful in the game, and one of the first things I usually focus on when building a character. So let's go on to Roiling Rhyme. If 2 stacks of Grimheart are consumed upon unleashing the holding mode of Ice Tide Vortex, a Shattered Lightfall Sword will be created that will explode immediately, dealing 50% of the basic physical damage dealt by a Lightfall Sword created by Glacial Illumination. So that sounds absolutely insane. So basically you're getting only 50% of the damage on that massive damage boost sword there, which if it goes up to 1,000 damage, you're going to get 500 at the max level. So if you're consuming 2 stacks of Grimheart, which the playstyle of this character seems to be get 2 stacks of Grimheart and then hold the cooldown to unleash it. And then go back to getting 2 more, hold it, 2 more, hold it, 2 more, hold it, rinse, repeat. Until you get the Glacial Illumination and then burst on them, boom. So the fact that you're bursting every 3 attacks is pretty fucking nuts. So let's go on to Wellspring of Warlust. When Glacial Illumination is cast, the cooldown of Ice Tide Vortex is reset and Eula gains 1 stack of Grimheart. Go back over here for a second. Ice Tide Vortex has a press cooldown of 4 seconds. So it's going to refresh immediately and gain 1 stack of Grimheart, which basically means that when you cast Glacial Illumination, which is the burst, the ultimate, you're going to automatically get 1 stack of Grimheart, which is basically the same as pressing Ice Tide Vortex once. And Ice Tide Vortex is going to reset immediately to give you that 2nd stack, so you can go immediately into the cooldown and go for the hold. So it's kind of like making it get back to the cycle faster. One cool thing about this, okay, so check out the cooldown for the hold. So the press cooldown is 4 seconds. Like I said, we're going to press, and then hold, right? So 4 seconds, 4 seconds, 10 seconds. Instead, later it's going to be basically 1 and then 4 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay, let's go to the Constellations. Every time Ice Tide Vortex Grimheart stacks are consumed, Eula's physical damage is increased by 30% for 6 seconds. Each stack consumed will increase the duration of this effect by 6 seconds up to a maximum of 18 seconds. So you're going to get a damage increase, physical damage that is, by 30% every single time you consume the Grimheart stacks, which should be pretty quick. And you go 4 seconds, 4 seconds. That's going to be an 8-second duration there. For the Lady of Seafoam, I know it says layout, mobile, tapping. This is basically code. It's broken. What it means to say is decreases the cooldown of Ice Tide Vortex's holding mode, rendering it identical to the press cooldown. So that means the cooldown for the hold is going to be the same as the press cooldown. So this 10 seconds has now been reduced to 4 seconds. It's going to be 4, 4, 4 now. 12 seconds to go through the entire thing. Or if you had a Glacial Illumination cast, Wellspring of Warlust, we'll make that just 4 seconds. Pretty cool, huh? So now we're getting down to getting the Grimheart stacks up and used very fast, just by getting the constellation levels here. We all already understand that getting the constellation levels up is going to be very, very hard to do for most people. So we're talking about pretty much the pay-to-play people at this point, unless you saved up a crazy amount of wishes and got some crazy luck, which, good luck to you if that's the case. So let's go with the constellation level 3. Lawrence Pedigree increases the level of Glacial Illumination by 3. Maximum upgrade level is 15. That's going to upgrade her ultimate right from the start at 3rd constellation. 4th constellation is Obstinacy of One's Inferiors. Lightfall swords deal 25% increased damage against opponents with less than 50% HP. Say what? This is Lightfall swords, plural, not just the ultimate one, but I'm assuming this applies to the one you can create with your Ice Tide Vortex as well. And it's going to deal 25% more increased damage against opponents with less than 50% HP. As if the skill didn't already do enough fucking damage, it's going to give you an additional 25% on top of that. This is absolutely insane. So, I don't know what to say about this character. This character is completely busted, broken, and just all over the place. The damage potential for her is massive. She's like a massive avalanche coming down on whatever enemy she happens to gaze upon. So her 5th constellation is Chivalric Quality, increases the level of Ice Tide Vortex by 3. Maximum upgrade level is 15. So this actually makes you wonder just how her family got overthrown in the first place if they're this powerful. Like, that's nuts. It must have took a mighty amount of numbers to overthrow this family. from Mondstadt. So Constellation level 6 is Noble Obligation. Lightfall swords created by Glacial Illumination start with 5 stacks of energy. Normal attacks, elemental skills, and elemental bursts have a 50% chance to grant the Lightfall sword an additional stack of energy. Okay, so let's go over that real quick. So her final Constellation level basically makes it so she already starts off with 5 stacks. And now they have a 50% chance to gain an additional stack per hit for all the different types of hits she can do. So before it was really hard to get the stacks up to 30 possibly. And now it's looking a little bit easier when you already start off with 5 stacks and you're getting potentially double the amount of stacks per hit. And I imagine that her normal attacks are pretty fast. So you shouldn't have a problem getting some stacks up if you start going to normal attack and start slashing like that. So it seems to be like a situation where you're doing Ice Tide Vortex to get 2 stacks of Grimheart, and then you want to unleash the stacks of Grimheart with the hold to deal some massive AoE damage and decrease the physical resistance and crowd resistance of your opponents. So then you enter into Glacial Illumination once you have enough energy, but you have 7 seconds to build up as much stacks of this as possible to get it to go big boom. And the boom's going to be really fucking big, dealing physical damage to your opponents. Which I'm going to say that, there's a lot of characters in the game, like Sinian, for example, that have some major debuffs and buffs to physical damage. So we can see right here, characters shielded by Sweeping Fervor deal 15% increased physical damage. That's a plus. And then Sweeping Fervor's swing damage decreases opponent's physical resistance by 15% for 12 seconds. You also have characters like Rosaria, who can drop an additional 20% on top of that. So she's going to be able to do some massive damage here. It's going to be crazy. Especially when you pair with some of these great synergies she has in the game, like Sinian, Rosaria, possibly more in the game. There's going to be just some crazy things you can do with her. It's going to be nuts. If you leave the field here, the Lightfall Sword will explode immediately. So you don't even have to stay the entire time. If you want it to go boom, and you're ready for it to go boom, you can just trigger it whenever you feel like it, just by swapping her out. So she seems like she's going to be some major DPS in the game, and I'm looking forward to trying her out. I'm not sure exactly how much I'll try to pull for her, but most of these constellations sound absolutely amazing for her, and seem to increase her ability to generate massive amounts of damage. You've got Tidal Illusion, more damage. So physical damage increased by 30% on top of whatever, artifacts you put on her. And then if you get Song of the Pines, which is the new 5-star Claymore, I'm guessing pairs with her perfectly, you're going to get physical damage as the main stat boost. So that's going to be nuts as well. It's going to be an amazing combo for her. Lady of Seafoam, decreasing the Grimheart stacks over there, dealing more damage. Obstinacy of one's inferiors, more Lightfall sword damage. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. It didn't need more damage in the first place. It already had tons, and now it's got more, so it's going to be crazy. She looks like an absolutely fantastic character, but power creep is definitely in the game, and we might be seeing more of that going forward. Considering one thing here, we have 7 acts, I think, planned for the game back in September, and we're barely on Act 1 still, and I think Inazuma is going to be the start of Act 2, or at least that was the planned start of Act 2. If it could be part of 1.6, who knows? We're barely in still Act 1, and we're already getting like a lot of power creep here. And I would say that some of the base characters in the game weren't that strong to begin with, even though you can definitely do some crazy stuff with them. Anybody you build up in this game is going to be powerful, but some of those base characters are definitely getting power creep by these 5 stars they're releasing. And you can only imagine what it's going to be like in the future, especially as they release more and more and more and more. So looking forward to some of these Dendro characters coming out in the future. Sumero is going to be amazing. But right now, Eula, and we have Yinfei, who I'll go over next. Probably do that tomorrow. And I'm just absolutely amazed by this character. She does some crazy stuff. She's got the quick animations here for the sword attacks. They look beautiful. She's flying over the place very gracefully. So that's it for our Eula preview. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like videos like this and want to see more of them, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, I stream every single day on Twitch at TV. That's 4S4H TV, all one word. I'll put that on the screen and put that in the description. Link below. See you guys later. Peace.